Hey, hello. What I want to talk about today is the Jane Doe #1 and Jane Doe #2 interviews. And I took a bunch of notes. I had more notes on Jane Doe #2 than I did Jane Doe #1. And I'm just going to compare and contrast the things that they've shared with us and what I grabbed from each interview. I'm going to include the link to Chronicles of Olivia in my description. I am going to share one part of the fight that she shows, but I'm not going to play the sound. And then the other thing that I just want to share, just for maybe a little bit of comic relief, is that every time they say Tahoe, I think of Nicolas Cage in City of Angels, where he's like, Tahoe, Tahoe. So I'm going to start with playing that. But here we go.
Where are you headed? Tahoe. Reno. Tahoe. I'm going to Reno. I'm going to Tahoe. Hop in. We'll figure it out when we get there.
So I got these glasses in one of the sales, and they're like blue light protective glasses, so that when you're looking at your phone or iPad or TV and stuff, it protects your eyes. So they're kind of Harry Potter-ish, but I kind of like them. Okay, so I'm going to start with Jane Doe's #1, Jane Doe #1. And first of all, that title was Girl Who Partied with Kiely Rodni Comes Forward. This girl, like, hardly even seen Kiely. They didn't party together, so that was a little bit clickbaity, but no shade. She says it was her first party. She was only there from 10:30 to 11 p.m. Isn't that about right when Kiely got there? I think Kiely got there around 9, allegedly. Her and her friend had a soccer tournament the next morning, so she did not plan to stay long. And they didn't stay long, she claims. And they were juniors, and this was a senior go-away party, a senior goodbye party. They both went to, this Jane Doe #1 and Kiely both went to Forest Charter. And she says that Kiely hung out with a lot of druggies, people that were always stoned, but she doesn't know if Kiely was always stoned. She said that what she knew most about Kiely, which wasn't a lot, is that she loved music class. She says that there were about 200 people there, but doesn't know exactly how many were there because she left early. She says she saw Kiely right before leaving, walking toward the car with her friends. She was with her friends. She saw Kiely. Not that Kiely was with friends when she saw her walking. She said she clung to her male senior friend because she was scared to death because it was her first party. I'm trying to remember if I don't think I was scared to death at my first party, but if she didn't pre-party or drink, maybe she was like really nervous. But it made me wonder what made her so scared. She says she didn't drink because she's a Christian, and she only drinks when she's in Spain. She said her soccer friend and her sat by a tree judging people they'd stalked online or gotten familiar with by going online and stalking their social media profiles. She used the word stalking. I'm not. But didn't know the people really at the party. She said that she left and went home and watched Netflix. Now we're going to go on to Jane Doe #2, which had a lot of information in it, in my opinion. I just want to add this in. I noticed that I didn't note it, but I had taken notes about it, that Jane Doe #1 also talks about seeing a group of guys trying to jumpstart their car. I know it was speculated whether or not this was the roadside assistance situation, but in my opinion, it doesn't sound like that. Doesn't match the timeline. It could be, but it was notable to me, so I wanted to hurry and edit this in. Also, she says that she never saw Kiely with any guys, and that's when you'll see the screenshot. I'm going to put it on the screen. That's when she goes on to say she recollects seeing the group of guys trying to jumpstart their car. So that was interesting because I don't believe that's really been noted anywhere else. Okay, we're gonna move on to Jane Doe number 2 now. Sorry, my chair's like pushing against this door ratchet. She says there were about 200 people there. And she said that that was unusual because the road is so rough. People hate partying out there. She said she definitely never saw Jagger. Doesn't think he was there at all. When she spoke to Kiely, she was intoxicated but seemed happy. There was nobody there in wet clothes. Now, it didn't specify if she was like asked about that or what, but she goes on to say, had they been in wet clothes, they would have been frozen so badly because it was raining all day that day, and it was cold out. Now, in editing, I'm going to add the Weather Underground report that I found that said it wasn't rainy that day, or there wasn't rain intended neither Friday or Saturday. Saturday was nicer than Friday. And I also gathered that they were experiencing a drought. So that's a little confusing. She said it rained all day. But I could be wrong. She said she didn't know about shrooms if anybody was doing them. She doesn't smoke or trip on substances. She believes Kiely was intoxicated before 11 p.m. She's friends with the girl who took the car photo. So I'm going to put that on my screen in editing. And she's friends with the girl that took the Be Real photo with Callie Ross in it. And that was not at the party. It was in Reno. She knows that the fight at the party was playful because she knows the boys. So that's not really saying she saw the fight and knew it was playful. It's more like she knows the boys and that they wouldn't fight aggressively. She didn't see Kiely drink or smoke, but said Kiely smelled strongly of alcohol. Kiely had a hard time walking straight and speaking was slurred. She doesn't believe this could be an accident. Sanctuary Road is almost impossible to drive on, especially while intoxicated. So that's interesting. And she also goes into, they call it the Y intersection that Kiely would have had to take to get to where she was in the water. The week before, a kid high-centered his truck on the road at the sanctuary. So it's showing how rough the road is. She said she saw Kiely around that night, but never saw her with Sammy. So we've been told by Sammy she spent the whole night with her, exchanged drinks, and even popped a squat with her. This girl says that she saw Kiely a lot, but did not ever see her with Sammy. She said Sammy, despite Sammy saying or acting like she hosted the party, Sammy did not host the party. 3 boys from Truckee Inline Court in North Tahoe. 3 kids hosted the party. And the Truckee boy who was one of the hosts wasn't even there because he had to work. She never saw him. She says that Kiely was severe. Now she goes on to say this, which is interesting in my opinion, that Kiely was severely intoxicated, stumbling, her speech was slurring, but doesn't know her well, so she doesn't know her normal behavior. She'd only seen her around and spoken to her twice at other parties, Kiely. And they went to different schools. So that's a big difference between Jane Doe number 1 and Jane Doe number 2 is Jane Doe number 1 claimed that she went to Forest Charter with Kiely. Kiely mentioned having a ride, and I starred that because she said that Kiely mentioned having a ride. That'd been the first I heard that. Who is that ride? Who were you? Who was taking Kiely home? But she was alone. So when she talked to her, Kiely was alone and it was dark. She said the moon was bright that night, but the trees covering the area blocked a lot of the light, and that the generator running the lights had been turned off or had been taken home. So it was really dark. And I know I see people say it was 60% moonlight, so I don't know what to believe about it. I guess the trees covered it. People started to show up around 9 p.m. Around 10 p.m., a huge group of people showed up. So 9 p.m. it started, and it got bigger at 10 p.m. A friend of hers was leading them, but didn't. Okay, so the big group of people that show up at 10, she says a friend of hers was leading them, but the girl, Jane Doe number 2, did not know the group of people. I guess they had been down on the road by the intersection with no clue where to go. Now, the only other time I hear her refer to the intersection is the Y intersection, which is down by the water, which is where some of the people that weren't recognizable to her or from Truckee, Inline, or North Tahoe were parked. She guesses they weren't from Truckee, but maybe from North Tahoe or the Incline region. Most Truckee and North Tahoe kids know where the sanctuary is, so it was apparent to her that they weren't necessarily local because they didn't know where the sanctuary was, and her friend had to lead them there. Because now, whereas before she said that they hated partying out there because of how bad the road was, she says now because it is a popular spot for us. And I quoted, "for us." She claims there's no photos or videos because kids up there don't spend their time on their phones. But then when I include the friendly fight video and the original invitation for the sanctuary party, you'll see that there's like 5+ phones filming the fight. So that part didn't really match up for me. She said she only noticed kids on their phone when they were taking B-reels or taking random pictures. They like to take 0.5s of their friends' faces because they're funny. That's the baby. At 10:30, glow sticks were all over the ground. People were like carrying them. She said she was like jokingly going around putting them in bottles. But then people started throwing the glow sticks at each other or at people, which was making some people really mad. She says, why do I have she fought? Oh, back to the friendly fights. She's claimed that she's fought her friend before, a girlfriend, and they had specific rules about the fight. No hitting in the head or face, and they have specific mediators picked out if it gets too hot. It gets hot if it's a friendly fight, I guess. That doesn't really make sense, but if it does get too aggressive, they split them up. But she admitted to having previously fought her friend and nobody got hurt. It was just fun. So weird to me. By 12:30, the party shrunk down. She didn't know anyone. A boy had blocked the road. So by blocked the road, I was like constantly picturing someone sideways on the road. He was just parked on the road and not moving, which stops anybody from getting out because it's so narrow. He blocks the road and people were all gathering around the car because some guys were fighting, and she said not playfully but aggressively. She says people start crowding around to see if they needed to break up a fight or anything. One kid climbed on top of the car yelling while the other one got in and started playing music with all the doors open, and there was a subwoofer, so it was really loud. I guess all the other music had stopped playing, so people were upset about that there was no music anymore. But that's all that said. It doesn't really say how that part concluded. You just see a kid get on top of a car, a kid get inside and start blaring music, and not really much more about whom or what was being fought about. Nobody could have driven down the Y intersection unless they parked down there, because where the kid was parked in the road blocked going down to the water. So unless Kiely parked down there, there was no way for her to get down there after this period. So 12:30. And in my opinion, it sounded like all of the people that knew the area parked it on the concrete part or the paved part of the sanctuary, And only the people that didn't know where they were going ended up parking down by the water. So she thinks it's unlikely that Kiely would have left after the kid blocked the road. So that was interesting to me. That she would have had to, something else happened, or she would have had to leave earlier, because this part, she says, yeah, nobody could have driven down the Y intersection, which is the road that leads to the water, unless they'd parked down there. Her ride was parked on the pavement, this girl, Jane Doe number 2. They passed guys walking that she did not know, so her and her ride started walking towards the paved area where her ride's car was, and they passed some guys that she didn't recognize, but her ride did know. And they started walking down towards the Y intersection because apparently they were parked down by the water. So more unfamiliars. But when leaving in the car and walking, she saw no new headlights pulling into the sanctuary. She saw no one leaving. No one coming, no one leaving. So I'm going to include some portions that I screenshot or saved from that video. I think Jane Doe number 2 was definitely informative. It makes me feel as though, even more so, that something could have sadly happened after 12:30. I wonder if the car got blocked and she tried calling Sammy to see where she was or for help. But at that point, Sammy was already on I-80 or 89. And with the diagrams that I'm going to put in the video, you'll be able to see the Y intersection, where Kiely was parked, where the sanctuary was, and some other visuals. Well, I appreciate you watching this long. I just wanted to make some notes on each witness. I hope everyone has a great day, afternoon, or night. I'll talk to you soon.